Our story begins later, in Wanecroft, a small village populated entirely by people who have never once been dealt a fair hand.
Hello there, Adam from GodIsAGeek.com here to talk about Lost in Random. And if you don't know what Lost in Random is, well, you're going to see it on the screen. It's a very pretty game. And the interesting thing about this is one of the interesting things is it's the third EA Originals game this year after It Takes Two and Knockout City, which have both been cracking. But Chris White, you've played a few hours of this, a preview version of this game. Is it going to be the hat trick? Is it going to be number 3?
I mean, judging from what I played, I think it's got heaps of potential to be. You're looking at it now and you can see how beautiful it is. Like, it's visually, it's absolutely cracking. Like, it takes a lot from kind of like the works of like Neil Gaiman, and the films based on his books. Like Coraline was an instant kind of influence to me. That's how I felt. And then obviously you've got the Corpse Bride, the Tim Burton films. Yep. It's a dark fantasy, but it's very much kind of, I say, family friendly. It's not like horrific. It is quite dark in places, but it's going to be accessible to many.
Hey, Adam from GodIsAGeek.com here. Sorry to interrupt, but if you wouldn't mind just hitting the big old subscribe button and maybe the bell to notify you of every new video we release, we'd be really grateful. Thank you so much and enjoy the video.
I guess the thing that grabbed me about it was the combat and how that works. Like, it's unlike anything I've kind of seen in a platformer, as I guess it kind of is in a way. Like, there's no jumping, there's no platform hopping, but it's a kind of fully realized world where you get to explore. But the combat, I guess we should kind of get stuck into, and I'll do my best to kind of explain how it works.
You go for it.
So think Hearthstone, think Gwent, think all these kind of deck building games where you build cards, and you can use certain cards to, slam down an attack or whatever, or do that. So you're running around and an enemy pops up, and he has like crystal deposits on his body. So you have to kind of use your slingshot to fire them off of him. Then you'll go and collect them. And then by collecting them, it allows you to use more cards. And your little companion, Dicey, is a dice, funnily enough. And you can roll him when you've got quite a few cards. And he will give you card tokens based on how many spots land when the dice is rolled. If you've got in the preview, we could only roll 1 or 2 because he's not fully kind of formed yet. So you roll a 2, and then there's certain cards that have 2 card tokens, which like the more powerful ones. So one of them was a bomb. So if you pick the bomb card, he will then be able to move a bomb in front of an enemy, and then you can use your slingshot to fire at it, and it'll explode. There's a card where you can get a sword, and then you can go and when you're out of the dice mention is what it's called, is when you've rolled dicey, you can then go and use that sword to go and attack an enemy and wipe them out. And there's basically loads of cards to use, to unlock, to find, and you eventually, as you play more, you can build a deck of up to 15 cards. You can buy them from like a vendor called Manny Decks, who is clever play on words there. Who is I
just got it. Sorry, I got that. I just got it. Yep,
weird, obscure character who gives you a binder, and then you find coins throughout the game in multiple ways to then spend there, buy new cards. But there's so many different combinations of cards you can get, and attacks. And I've barely scratched the surface. Like as you said, 2 hours. But like that alone is going to be a lot of fun, and the more cards you get, the better decks you build, the more powers you can use. The enemies become tougher, obviously, and we saw some quite tricky enemies the further on the preview went. And like there's one card which I loved, was like it's a D20 dice in Dungeons and Dragons you get to roll, and it basically bounces around the screen and like ricochets off walls and then hits your enemy for 20 seconds. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and like the story's kind of about a sister who loses her sister and she goes on a quest to find her. So it's like the emotional tie there, but like
it's kind of dark. It's kind of got that again that kind of. It looks very pretty, but it's kind of dark. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like exactly. Because like when a child gets to 12, this queen, this evil queen, from what we assume, rolls her magical dice, and depending on what number it lands on, that's kind of the realm that they disappear to. So her daughter gets to 12 and she rolls a 6, and that's basically where the queen lives. So she becomes
the upper classes, as it were.
Yeah, a servant of the queen. But a year passes, and that's when your journey starts. You see something that you think has some ties to your sister, so you go and investigate what that is, and that takes you off to a different land entirely, the Valley of the Dice.
Does it get like how does it like how long before you get to that combat? Like, does it get going quickly? Like, what's?
Yeah, no, it takes a bit of time, but it's kind of setting up the story. You don't get to fight for a while, but it's not like ages. It just does take a bit of time, but obviously they've got to set the story, and you do get to see the beauty of this kind of world and how good it looks. And then within like 40 minutes, you're rolling dicey for the first time, and that's when you kind of learn everything. And there's a lot to unpack, but it's not difficult to kind of, once you get to grips with it, there's a load of kind of mechanics there that work really well together for saying how kind of smart they've gone about making it. You know, and the last game I believe was, well, one of the last games was Faye, which was an EA original, and that was a decent platformer, and like they've definitely gone with a different visual aesthetic.
It's a bigger budget game.
Worked.
This very clearly.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's good because obviously It Takes Two was an EA original, and that was phenomenal. And then, as you said, Knockout City was a lot of fun. Like the EA originals are on point with these, so I'm really looking forward to play more.
Well, if you want to read some more formal written thoughts, you can go to godisageek.com. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this, and thanks for being here, Chris.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, don't miss any videos like this. We've got a lot coming up at the moment. In fact, it might even be in the past. There's so much going on, I can't even remember at this point. It's a good job spreadsheets are a viable option. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.